Hello to all you vacation rental pioneers out there. My name's Matt Landau, and this is Unlocked, the podcast series that introduces you to the world's leading vacation rental innovators by diving deep into one single key, one specific best practice or technique that opened the door and changed the game. There are certain people in the vacation rental industry who, when you meet them, you just kind of get excited about everything. Christine Saba is one of those people. Christine is technically the head of growth at a company called Noiseaware, which is basically a fire alarm for noise. But Christine's roles and responsibilities, like a lot of us, tend to spill over into all kinds of areas. I had the chance to sit down and visit Noiseaware's headquarters in Dallas, and the irony that Christine and I had noise challenges in the recording was surpassed only by the fact that we actually solved them together. Here's me and Christine. My name's Matt Landau, and this is Unlocked.
Oh, I love it.
It's just kind of something I came up with on my own.
It's perfect.
Who are you?
Christine Saba, and I work at Noiseaware.
You do?
Yeah.
Where are we?
We're at Noiseaware headquarters.
We're at Noiseaware headquarters.
In Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas.
It's not quiet.
It's not quiet. We've spent how long? The last 30 minutes approximately?
Yes.
Trying to get in touch with the leaf blower squad outside, who has been, I'm guessing, just doing maintenance.
Probably.
And I think for some magical reason, it sounds like they are drifting away.
Drifting away into the distance.
But listeners, if you do hear a low hum in the background, those are our friends outside, and they're just doing their job. Thanks for randomly making some space for me this morning.
Yeah, I think you texted me at 9:30, and I was actually working.
Last night, PM.
Yeah,
You were working out.
I think
you say?
No, I was working,
okay.
typing.
And I said, can we do an interview tomorrow morning?
Yeah, I said, sure, I'm moving all my meetings.
And actually, I emailed you a couple weeks ago about this meeting, but you never responded.
Oh, oops.
So I just assumed either...
Darn, my personal assistant.
Your personal assistant let you down.
Let me down.
Either the personal assistant let her down, or Christine really does just not want anything to do with me.
No, I just am inundated with emails, I feel like.
And
sometimes.
I really thought through it last night before I asked you, and I said, I think it must be the case that the email slipped through the cracks. I asked you, you said yes.
Yes, 100%.
It's the second time you said yes to a young man, right? You
Yes.
recently got engaged.
Yes.
When was that?
That was, almost a year ago. It was Labor Day weekend last September.
And that is a pretty exciting new step of your life.
It is. And actually, it's funny because yesterday somebody asked me, how long have you been engaged? And I said, to Noiseaware, I think like 3 years. Because
That's where your mind went?
That's where my mind went. I've been engaged with Noiseaware 3 years.
And who's this other human?
Garrett. Yes, but not the Garrett that works at Noiseaware, which new employees have been very confused that we have this new love triangle in the. And
this is separate.
This is separate.
Non-Noiseaware.
I call him my personal Garrett.
My personal Garrett.
Yes.
And is he cool?
Yes, super cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and works for American Airlines.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's always helpful in a
perk.
spouse.
Yes.
And when is the wedding? Do we know?
September 28th, right after ResFest.
I love
I
how
time everything after. Oh.
even your personal moments are included in vacation rental calendars.
Yes.
I like that. Mm-hmm. And who is that just opened the door?
Andrew, the CEO, who already knew we were interviewing on this podcast.
Well, maybe he thought we were in the other boardroom.
He must have thought.
I like, just as a theme here, how the subject of what you do for a living, controlling noise, has been really tested in these first few moments.
Yes.
And we're taking it like pros.
Yes.
And just to close that brief moment about your personal life, wedding is going to happen after ResFest.
Yes.
Are you inviting all your friends and family?
All my friends and family, and I would say the majority of the Noiseaware team will be there as well, which is crazy. So
very cool. Is that just because they've become good friends?
They're family, yeah. And good friends.
True about a lot of vacation rental businesses.
Yes.
Relationships go far beyond the office.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so no one really knows the backstory here. Let's start off with, you said you're at, what is your position here?
Head of growth.
Head of growth at Noiseaware.
Mm-hmm.
And Noiseaware, for those who don't know it, is?
Noise monitoring technology for the short-term rental industry. And I guess the simplest way is we make sure that nobody throws a party or damages your property and protect the thing that you value most. So.
And you do that with a device.
Smart home device, yes.
An actual little thing that looks like, how do you describe that? It looks like a little
Yeah, I mean, we designed it ourselves, so it kind of doesn't look like anything else, but it's pretty small that it fits in the top plug, doesn't take up much room.
It looks almost like the
like
charger
an extender,
of a computer.
yeah, a charger of a computer. And the outdoor one is like a little puck, and that's battery powered, so you can have coverage both inside and outside.
And the idea being that noise in a vacation rental property is good for nobody involved.
Definitely. I mean, noise that's at a fun level that's appropriate is fine, obviously. I had a bachelorette in Palm Springs. I followed all the guidelines because it's a very quiet place, but I was definitely the noise, I don't know, captain, I guess. I was kind of making sure that we were always keeping it at a good level.
Captain.
Yeah.
And Noiseaware very much is the noise captain of our industry.
Yeah. I mean, we just want to make sure that people are enjoying a space, but in a way that's still friendly to the community and not disturbing.
And you do that very well. I want to take a step back because you and I have known each other since when? I don't know.
I guess since I started at Noiseaware, but technically I was obsessed with you before then.
I'm flattered. Slightly scared. Creeped out.
Everyone listening is like, me too. I was so obsessed with Matt. I love him.
I think the first time we actually met up was in Toronto, wasn't it?
In person?
Heather's event.
Yes.
Heather's Vacation Rental Summit.
Yeah.
But I've never actually really got the chance. We're always talking about vacation rentals.
Yes.
This is the great problem of our industry. We're so passionate and nerdy that we just go off. I've never had the chance to actually learn a little bit about Christine.
Yeah.
Because you play a significant role in the growth of a greater movement here, I think. So I wanted to take a chance, maybe ask a couple of personal questions about how you got here. Is that okay?
Yeah, for sure.
How did you get here this morning?
I drove in my Jeep Wrangler, which I love, dream car.
All right.
Got it last year.
Did you have another animal in the car?
No, just Lola, my foster dog.
Foster dog?
Uh-huh.
Is this something that you've done
And
for
I'm wearing
a while?
my shirt that says dogs are people too.
Aww.
You know, because they are.
What is this foster dog thing is what?
It's a little new, but I grew up rescuing dogs with my mom. So my mom fostered a lot of dogs and took them in. And
rescuing them off the side of the road?
Usually off the side of the road, yes.
Wow.
Big heart. And yeah, and then this year, I don't know, I saw Lola on Instagram. That's the power of social media, right? And we already have a blind dog. Saw that she was blind. She looked scared in the shelter. And I knew about this foster program and was like, okay. So told Garrett, my fiance, like, we have to go get this dog. That was the day before Easter, and I went and got her on Easter.
Oh my gosh. And you fostered her. And this morning was breakfast with whom? Breakfast
with a woman who is another great human who wants to sponsor her adoption fee. So
Lola's.
Essentially, Lola's, yeah.
So that would mean giving money to the SPCA or something?
It's called Dallas Pets Alive.
Okay.
So
that whoever is going to adopt, well, basically enhance her chances of adoption.
Yeah, definitely.
By having this free... what they do all the tests and stuff or something.
Yeah, they basically would cover, kind of the first initial cost. And,
excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you got here this morning.
Yes.
But what about here on this planet?
Where were
you originally born?
Oh man, I was originally born in Jacksonville, Florida. Lived through Hurricane Andrew. I think that was a big one in the 90s. And that was because my dad was in the Naval Academy, served in the Navy for some time, and then kind of moved all over South Carolina, Maryland, Deep Creek Lake, which is a huge vacation rental town now.
Is that where Jody is?
Yeah, it's where Jody is.
Creek, yeah.
Yes, so we know a lot of the people that I grew up with. My picture as a child is still in the ice cream shop there. That's like the only ice cream shop, the creamery that's like the hometown creamery.
How'd you get your photo in there?
He has photos of all the kids in the town that kind of grew up eating ice cream and kids who would come off boats in the lake that were traveling there with their families. And so, yeah, it's like a thing that I have my friends do, like almost like a scavenger hunt. I'm like, see if you can figure out which one I am and take a picture with your phone. And
I love
some people have gotten it right. Some people have gotten it terribly wrong. I'm like, no, I did not have brown hair. Yes, I might have had chubby cheeks, but I definitely didn't have brown hair. So
I love it. So they'll send you a photo of what they think is you, and you either give them the
thumbs up or thumbs down. I've had a lot of friends whose parents have bought in vacation homes there and invested in homes there. So yeah.
And your parents, where do they live?
They live in Houston, Texas. So we've just kind of like done this big like oval in the U.S.
Back to center now.
Yeah, because we lived in like right outside of D.C. for some time. I went to James Madison University up there, and then I moved to Baltimore, which is one of our connections.
Yeah, my parents live in Baltimore.
Well, yeah, your parents live there. And then, yeah, when I was in college, I studied abroad, and my parents emailed me and said, we're moving to Dallas. And
wait, where were you abroad?
I lived in Antwerp, Belgium, and I did my, that's probably what got me into the travel industry first. Being able to just like hop on a plane or a train and go somewhere and plan a vacation in 24 hours because you had every free weekend, but you never knew where you were going to go. So it was this I don't know.
So that gave you the, would you say the zest for travel?
The zest, yes. One of the principles.
Quick
is
tribute
zest.
back to Matt Hoffman's daughter.
Matt Hoffman's daughter?
At Kigo, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Her name's Leah, and she shared with me the principles that they were learning in school. And one of the principles after social intelligence and curiosity and purpose is zest.
Yeah.
So you kind of got a zest for travel when you were studying.
Yeah.
And this led back to when your family moved to Dallas.
Yep.
And then what happened next?
Then I kind of felt like I had the opportunity to go anywhere in the world to work, but I got a job in Baltimore, Maryland. And I said, fine, that's where I'll go. I'll just figure it out. That was the first startup I worked for, and they sold college courses online. It was kind of the first part of online college courses. A lot of the universities weren't even doing it yet. So they were kind of the first ones that tapped into that market. And yeah, basically helping people who maybe didn't go to college right after high school get a college degree. It was just general education courses, and then they would flow into a university of their choice, and we'd help them with that. So,
did you like Baltimore?
I did, yeah.
It's an interesting city.
It's a different city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people give it crap, but
yeah,
I think it's got its own
unique
lovely quirks.
Yeah. It's Charm City.
Charm City, you're right, it is.
Yeah.
And it's written on all the bus stops.
Yes.
On the little benches.
The little benches.
Question 2, did you know you wanted to work in like tech and startups? Was that something you were focused on at the time?
Not really. I just got an opportunity with that one. And then I was working with people who were probably twice my age and had a ton of experience. And it was kind of them and me. And I felt like I was running a lot of things that my friends were like, I don't get to do that.
Your friends that were working in more conventional jobs?
More conventional corporate jobs, those entry-level starter jobs right after college. And I just felt like I had a ton of autonomy and freedom, and I loved it. And I learned exactly how to run a business, essentially, and then was like, I can take this anywhere.
Do you think from all the vacation rental people you've met over the years that kind of like doing they all have that in common? They're like just kind of entrepreneur doers.
Yeah. And you have to have a lot of passion and excitement, and you have to not really care for things to be super structured. You have to be okay with problem solving and going with the flow and all these different things. And I don't know, I just loved that. I never thought that, I knew every day I had no idea what was going to happen that day. And I liked that.
Yeah. I think that does describe a lot of vacation rental professionals.
Yes.
A lot of them are also control freaks.
I'm also control freak.
I was going as far as to say a lot of us are control freaks. Yeah. So the big challenge is not going out of control in our vacation rental businesses that are changing daily.
Yeah. It almost becomes a weakness if you become too controlling, because you just cause yourself this consistent internal anxiety.
Yes, totally. And so did you arrive at a point with that job, then you realized you wanted to move on? What was the next professional move?
Yeah, I mean, they grew to 80 people, and I got there when there were 5 of us. So it just became a little crazy, and I felt like I'd given it my all and my full time, and I was ready for something new and something exciting. And I also was ready to be connected to, I think we talk a lot here about your why and a why of a company. I was ready to be connected back to something that felt really good. And that brought me to the company that brought me to Dallas, which was called Nepris, and they connected kids in the classroom with industry professionals. And I was just thinking as I said this, that it would be really cool to connect some vacation rental managers on their platform. I still connect with them pretty frequently. My friend works there.
What does that mean? Connect kids in the classroom with professors?
So it's all virtual. So you could just be anywhere in the world and connect via Skype. I think they use Zoom, actually. They call it a LinkedIn matchmaking for teachers. So teachers go in and say, I'm teaching my kids about the principles of a foundation of a company. And anybody can then say, hey, I have those skill sets. I'd love to talk to those kids. And then they accept the request, a match.
Okay.
Kind of almost like dating. Yeah. And then they pick a date and time, and they meet up with the professional virtually, so that kids in rural areas, or, maybe even kids in inner cities where it's hard for professionals to take time out of their day. It's a 3-hour process to maybe get to a school. They can just connect with the click of a button from anywhere.
Cool.
Yeah. So I was like, I should get some vacation rental people on there, because kids would have no idea about that.
So that one was only for kids?
Only for kids, yeah.
Okay.
K through 12.
Okay. And that's still more or less along the lines of education.
Yes. So then I just took a full swing.
You took a turn left.
Yeah.
Into what? Was it immediately into vacation rental stuff?
It was actually while I was working there.
Okay.
My friend moved to Costa Rica and was like, oh my gosh, the vacation rentals here are not they're just, no one cares about it anymore. They've kind of gotten lazy. They've been doing it for so many years. And she was kind of meeting with all these people and they weren't passionate about it. And she was like, man, what a cool job. You get to take people on their vacation, their unforgettable experience, and then put them in this awesome house that looks over the ocean. I mean, what's not cool about that? So she convinced me to start a company with her, and we started doing property management for some homeowners that were like, we're ready to kind of break up with our property manager.
And was it what you expected?
Heck no. It was harder.
Her selling point was that you're selling people vacations overlooking
Yeah,
ocean,
and you can do this while having a full-time job because we just have to post the listing and we just have to manage a few things and yada yada. No, I cleaned toilets. I went to Costa Rica for almost every Christmas. I was there for almost a month every single time.
The business was in Costa Rica?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is not the worst place to be. If I have to clean toilets, I'll do it in Costa Rica.
I'll do it in Costa Rica, yeah.
Where specifically in Costa Rica?
Guanacaste.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful area.
Mm-hmm.
Where specifically? Guanacaste?
Playa Hermosa.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I love that area.
Yeah.
Okay. And you start entering into the world of travel and management and realize that it's way harder than it seemed, or maybe that you were originally expecting.
Yes.
But it did not turn you off on the industry.
No, because I think my favorite quote, we met a woman down there. She was kind of our advisor in a way. And it was good that my friend lived there. The reason we stopped was because she wanted to leave Costa Rica, and I met Noiseaware and things took a different turn. But the company was called Lux Bay, so that became my nickname here.
Lux Bay, like B-A-E?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Which for those who are not like millennials,
Yeah.
Bay is kind of like another way of saying.
Before anyone else.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
I
like
just thought it
babe,
was-
but without the B.
Right, but I didn't know the actual acronym.
Yeah.
It was stood for words.
Mm-hmm.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah. And now there's Lux Airbnb, so I always send her the Lux Airbnb stuff, and I'm like, we had something. We had it. We knew what we were doing.
We were ahead of our time.
We were ahead of our time.
And so how many properties did you guys more or less like leave there?
So we managed about like 4 probably ourselves. One ended up being on HGTV, which was really cool. She got to be a part of the filming and whatever.
She, your friend.
Yes. And then we did a lot of marketing and kind of helped some other folks in the area put their property like communities on the map. So some of the other places that were in like Playa Conchal and some other locations within Costa Rica kind of reached out to us and was like, you guys are doing awesome branding. We're like, we don't know what we're doing, but we're making it look good. And they were just ready to have somebody else kind of put them out there. And I think we got some of their places booked while we did it and took a small commission. So we kind of played a little bit travel listing / property manager. And then the lady that kind of helped us out a lot, she said the best quote. She was like, the world of property management is you don't plan the day plans you, because nothing goes as planned. And it was so true, because as a control freak, I was like, I'll be on top of everything. I'll make sure that our plan goes according. But by 11 a.m., something's broken,
right,
or a flight's delayed,
right,
or your van guy is late. And especially there, you're on island time. You're on their time.
Oh, yeah.
So
Costa Rica and all of Central America and probably even South is like the mañana mindset. It's very popular. Folks, just a quick pause. Just as we turn from Christine's background into her current role in the industry, I'd encourage you to note how Christine embraces the role of the underdog. How her story, not unlike most owners and managers, it took kind of a serendipitous path towards hosting, and how it wasn't nearly as easy as she was expecting, but how it was also something that she came to love, something that got her hooked. Try weaving this underdog storyline into your About Us page, and don't be afraid to share how you accidentally fell into this industry and how you're trying your absolute best to keep the dream alive throughout the adversity. That tends to win respect and earn future bookings along the way. Let's get back to the conversation. I wanted to quickly ask if you found that what you learned on that property management business has been applied, is helpful knowledge to actually being on now more or less the service side of the industry.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I would say now being the one that helps property managers, I understand a lot of the pain points that they have, or I understand how crazy their days can be, that like, you don't take it personally if they don't pick up the phone. We've also tried to really not do like cold calling or selling.
Yeah.
We really want to do the help mentality, because I hated getting those phone calls. So I know what it's like.
Ditto. That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
And that kind of tees us up for your entrance into Noiseaware.
Yeah.
which was, how did that get started?
So I met Andrew, his co-founder, CEO. He's the engineer side of it, so the brains behind everything. He was the Liam Neeson. He's got a specific set of skills, used it to fix Dave's problem.
Dave's Liam Neeson.
I guess. Or no, Andrew is.
No, but Andrew is Dave's.
Oh,
Liam
yes,
Neeson.
yes.
Private Liam Neeson.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I went to this networking event, met Andrew, and he was like, oh, you would get along really well with Dave, the
This is
other
in
co-founder.
Dallas. Okay.
It's called 1 Million Cups. It's kind of a fun startup thing, and you
Okay.
network and you drink coffee, my favorite thing. So I set up a time to meet with Dave and then gave him some advice on how to launch the company, essentially.
So at that point, they only had the idea.
Had the product being ready to be off the manufacturing line and ready to sell. And they had a couple success stories, one being New Year's Eve. And this was March 2016.
Okay, tell me that story.
So they had a few prototypes and they were like, all right, we have to make sure this actually works other than Dave's properties, because Dave was Superhost at the time. He has 8 properties in Dallas. It obviously works for him. So they meet this other property manager. He's like, I'll try it out. I think he had an apartment unit. He put it in. And of course, New Year's Eve, people were partying super hard. He already knew building management was going to be happy. And he saw it, reached out to the guests, and then it quieted down. He was like, whoa.
We got something
This
here.
works. Yeah. And it was New Year's Eve. So we're like, heck yeah. I say we, but I was not. I didn't know them yet.
But I'm just going to own that memory.
I'm going to own that memory. Yeah.
And do you know, Dave's not in town right now.
No.
Otherwise, we may allow him to have a couple minutes here, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, though. Sharing the spotlight with him is so hard.
It is.
Yeah.
I agree. And do you know if the idea came to them and then they just sent the plans off to create this device somewhere?
Yeah, essentially. I mean,
Could I just do that? If I had an idea, I could just contact a company where?
I don't even know how they did all
Yeah, how
that.
they did that.
Lots of friends and lots of help, I would say.
Mhm.
Really, it's funny. It's like they came up with the back of the napkin concept. It reminds me
What? Back of the neck?
back of the napkin. I said napkin.
back of the
weird.
napkin, okay.
It didn't roll off my tongue
Back
right.
of the neck.
No. And then they entered into an incubator accelerator program for startups. So people who have that concept or that idea, a lot of times you can find that in your community, that there's someone who runs those, and they give
That's
you.
if you've got a good idea, you enter and
Yeah.
help you build it
Yeah,
up.
and
Cool.
some people with really terrible ideas go far. So
Interesting. So those are accelerators.
Yeah.
So you could Google your local town accelerator
Yeah.
and see what's happening.
Yeah, and then it gives you the opportunity to meet potential investors.
Yeah.
I think even as a vacation rental, someone who wants to start in the vacation rental industry or short-term rental industry, I say, in an urban market,
Yeah.
you could probably still do it through an accelerator.
Yeah, I'm thinking nothing else. If I just, in New Orleans, for instance, I'm looking to make some friends.
Yeah.
I could attend these events. Chances are all these people are like-minded thinkers.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what ended up, now here I am helping them run their company.
And so you gave them that idea. It seemed to be helpful advice. They had their proof of concept in the New Year's Eve moment.
Yes.
And then what? You guys all sat around a table and started building a business?
Yeah, I met with Dave, and anyone who's ever met him knows how energetic he is, and he's infectious. You just feel like you meet him and you love the guy. He told me I was his work soulmate on our first meeting, and I was like, whoa.
That's a little overboard.
Yes, but I was like, okay, I'll keep helping you, but I also am doing a full-time job, then another full-time job as a property manager, and then I'm going to help this guy.
Wait, what was the first full-time job?
Because I was still working at Nepris.
At what?
At the startup. Connecting
you were
kids.
still at the startup.
Yes.
So you were compounding jobs.
Yeah, I'm going and meeting 8th graders during the day and helping them connect with this industry professional at Frito-Lay.
Right.
And then I'm hanging out with Dave at 4 or 5 p.m.
Meanwhile, going to Costa Rica at times.
Yeah, and then I'm messaging people on Verbo.
My gosh.
Yeah, I was insane. I definitely was single. I had no dating life.
had no
no
life.
free time.
And so what? Did the Noiseaware thing eventually just become so needy, for lack of a better word, that
Yes.
you dropped the other stuff?
Yes, and the work soulmate thing just kind of stuck with me. I was like, man, I do really feel something with these guys, but this is a huge risk. Is noise really that big of a problem? It is in Costa Rica. People love to party, but I don't know, I didn't see it. And then I started paying attention to the headlines, and I think they did too. And it was all those Airbnb trashed party headlines started really hitting the media in 2016. I think that Airbnb really was taking off, and people didn't know what they were getting into, right? And there's no cameras. There was no other way to really protect your place. And reading some of those stories, you do feel for those people because...
I feel for everyone involved. Really.
Yeah.
I feel for the owners. I feel for the neighbors.
Yep.
Really, I feel for everyone, maybe with the exception of the out-of-hand guests.
And probably a lot of people stop doing Airbnb or stop doing short-term rentals. I won't just say Airbnb because it doesn't happen there.
Right.
It happens everywhere. But yeah, they kind of stopped doing short-term rentals, and that's giving up on a dream. And I think that working in startups, it kind of led me into this path of like, man, these are all entrepreneurs. Like, it's not, even if that's not their full-time thing, it's still a business. So yeah. And then I jumped on board in June of 2016. So it's been 3 years. Formally, yeah.
And that you became immediately this current title?
No, my first title was community manager, and it's still like that in some systems here. So it's really funny. One day, if I decide to just kind of sneak into the background, I'll still be that community manager. I don't even know what that title means, but I came on board and I took charge pretty fast. I was like, this is what it's going to be. This is how we're going to talk to people. And yeah, some days Dave and I would just call random people we would find on the internet that had a vacation rental and just talk to them to just see. And by the end of it, he'd be getting their credit card number to have them purchase a device. So
we talked from a very high level what the Noiseaware does, but let's dive into it real quickly, the actual mechanics. It is a physical device that is placed inside of a unit or a property or even a room within, right?
Yeah.
Multiple within a room, within a home. And it basically monitors the noise decibels.
Yes.
And alerts the owner when the decibels exceed what the owner has considered to be appropriate.
Yes.
So it's not like any loud noise at any time will set off the alarm.
Correct.
You predetermine your settings, and it's basically designed to give the host a chance, like in Dave's case with his New Year's Eve, to notify the people in the home that there's people living next door and calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
Is
and
that
the
the
bar
premise?
down the street is a great place to go.
We've got backup
It's our
plan.
local recommendation for you.
So where do we go?
Guest.
And you say you go to this place.
Yeah. Should we tell people you're working here now? Because that was a great sales
I'm promoting
pitch.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm getting paid in t-shirts.
Yes. And coffee.
And coffee, right. And how has it been received? Like, my first instinct and initial reaction is, of course, why doesn't every single property in the world have this? How is it received by your potential clients, the owners and the managers?
I would say in the first 2 years, the majority of our customers were people that had already had the problem. So we really were, and that's why our organic was such a huge traffic source for us, because people were like, hey, they were Dave. They were like, hey, this happened to me. Not every single thing that happens hits the media. So there was tons of people that were dealing with probably, I would say, 3 common issues. One, the crazy neighbor. Everybody knows that. There's somebody who doesn't love short-term rentals. There could not even be guests staying at your place, and they're submitting complaints wherever they can.
Like with a stethoscope up against the wall.
And then that's not a good guest experience either, to have to, I mean, I don't want to live next door to somebody who's like that. A guest doesn't want to have to stay there. 2, regulation, the city not understanding short-term rentals, the city having a really negative perception based on just who are the constituents who are going to complain. And sometimes it's all those crazy neighbors, and 5 of them can complain, and then everyone's all up in a hoorah. And then the 3rd would just be that you don't know when it's going to happen to you. So there are some great preparers out there who want to prepare for the worst.
Yeah,
but
the control freaks.
Yeah, the control freaks, but they're on the high scale. And the majority of people were unfortunately not thinking about it ever happening to them. And I understand that. And then they were coming to us after the problem had already happened. So we heard a lot of stories, and that kept our motivation in the beginning and our passion for why we were doing what we were doing. Because we were like, wow, look at all these people who have had this problem happen to them. Oh my gosh, how big is this? You know, so there's no forum where everybody shares that.
Right.
Yeah. So those were the reasons that people were reaching out. I'd say now a lot more people have heard about our brand. We've spread a lot through word of mouth. I think we have a great customer service. We've really kind of tried to be a pillar in the community, and we've gone to bat for people in many ways in the regulation arena. So I think that then we've kind of started to spread a little bit more, that people are like, oh, I got to have that, especially in their early on journey in starting a vacation rental.
And before we get into the rent responsibly stuff and the advocacy stuff, is one of the biggest immediate objections, I'm asking because this is my immediate objection, or was my immediate objection, that it is weird and or like borderline creepy to be imposing on people's private space. Like, if this device listening to everything that people say, and if the guests know about it, will they be offended?
Yes.
People say that?
I would say that early on, before Alexa and Google Home and all these kind of mainstream devices were out, that we definitely had privacy concerns as an objection or kind of a hurdle that we had to overcome. I think that the world in general is trying to really figure out, like we always talk about how it's creepy, start to get served ads on your phone when you're talking to a friend about something and you're happens. Like, is my phone listening to me? I think there's a lot more going on in the world that we all have to be concerned about, but I understand that guests don't want something in the property that's listening to them. So we took privacy into consideration when we were building the device, and it's not able to ever record content. So it really only takes into consideration data points. Once you tell somebody that, like, hey, it's almost like the thermostat can tell what the temperature is, we can tell what the noise level is, that's it.
And do people tell guests that they have them?
Yes, definitely. And we recommend that they do. Yeah, it's almost required that you put it in your listing, especially now Airbnb and Vrbo are really starting to say, hey, list any devices that you have. I think to me personally, I think it's a little bit more creepy to have like a camera in the backyard. And that's technically in some places that is okay and legal, but I would rather have an outdoor sensor, right? That's not looking at me, that doesn't know what I'm wearing at the pool. Right. And that someone can't watch me and instead is only knowing exactly how high the noise levels are. So yeah, I mean, we took that into consideration, and it's been weird to see that people still put like Alexas in homes and think that that's no big deal. But there's been plenty of news stories about how they know and can, I mean, there are people that are listening to conversations that have been had and the Alexa is always on. And to me, that's a little bit more invasive than what our device is doing, which is just really telling the noise level.
So, and I like this just as a best practice for sharing the devices that you've got. One of the other ones that comes to mind is Ring doorbell.
Yep.
Which is digital doorbell that both
has the camera,
records if you want it to, and or lets people in automatically. And it's a good practice to tell people about it because, one, they probably will behave better knowing that there is a camera there. And two, you don't want them finding it on their own and having felt somehow subvert, like you were spying.
Yeah.
So with all that in mind, you start seeing people adopting not just the Noiseaware product and idea, but broader technology in their homes and things like that. Noiseaware started growing, and you start realizing that you have kind of this place in the industry around this theme of advocacy and regulation, a lot of which is rooted in loud noise parties that are disrupting neighborhoods. So how does Noiseaware then segue into Rent Responsibly? And I know they're two different entities, but what is Rent Responsibly?
Yeah, so the roots of Rent Responsibly was really...
Other than the first ever official sponsor of the Unlocked podcast.
Oh, yeah. That's true. I forgot about that. Man, we go way back.
We do.
Rent Responsibly was, at first, Dave and I getting in Winnebago, and we were like, we can start in Seattle and hang out with Derek Eaton, who you know well, and go to the HomeAway Summit. And then we're going to go down the coast in this Winnebago all the way to like LA for Airbnb open. And we were like, how are we going to get from one to the other? And how can we meet as many short-term rental, vacation rental managers and owners along the way and hear their stories?
The reason for that was just to listen.
Just to listen, but also to find out why are cities banning short-term rentals? Because at that time, there was a huge uptick in bans or just even ordinances that were really strict in a lot of those West Coast cities, especially California. And so we were kind of like, what's happening? What are the people in the city that are on the side that we're all on, which is let's have a positive impact. Let's keep having vacation rentals, sustainable tourism in these cities. We're like, what are the people that are there? How are they reacting? And what's their perception?
There would be no other way to figure that out than to physically go there.
Exactly. Because you can only read so much in the media, not saying it's fake news, but you're going to read the really kind of polar opposites. Who's against it? Who's for it? We want to just go talk to the people that are living it daily and what's happening.
And great tip for any service provider in our industry. Get on a flight. Get into Winnebago, go to the ground level of where your prospective clients are and listen.
Yeah.
Don't even talk.
Yeah. We just went and listened and we met so many great people. I can remember all their faces. It was such a huge turning point in the company. It really brought us back to like, what are we doing? Why are we doing what we're doing? And that really sparked Rent Responsibly to be a place and an organization that can educate, celebrate, and advocate for the short-term rental industry. And our biggest thing is how can we celebrate the short-term rental industry without having anybody who's looking in say, oh, they're doing that because they're Airbnb or they're doing that because they're Vrbo, right? Like it's hard when they try to send out that message because it seems self-serving. Mm-hmm. Well, Rent Responsibly is just meant to be all the entrepreneurs, all the families, and all those people who have been affected by short-term rentals. And it doesn't even have to be Derek Eaton or somebody who's managing and running a vacation rental company. It can be the coffee guy down the street who loves it when people come in and spend their money when they're vacationing at that coffee shop in that little town.
And so Noiseaware is a for-profit venture that is selling a product. It's designed to grow.
Yes.
Having a team here.
Yes.
How many people are working out there?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. We've added so many.
It looked like a command center when I came in.
It does. I have to keep trying to figure out where to fit them all.
So it's a business. It's growing.
Yes.
Whereas Rent Responsibly as a separate entity is not technically categorized as a business. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, we really have kind of made it a movement at first, and some people have seen it as like an advocacy group in times. And I think Dave is still moving down a plan of how do we turn this into something that can be an organization and a support arm for the entire vacation rental community.
And this is done, I'm guessing, because if you go in the same way that you said that Vrbo could be perceived to have a bias or a hidden agenda in any given thing that they're doing because they too are a business.
Yes.
Noiseaware could be perceived to have that same kind of bias or hidden agenda, even if it's a great bias.
Yeah.
A perfect compliment.
Yeah.
We want to eliminate noise in the industry. Is that a bad thing? No,
Yeah.
it's great.
We love to be the noise experts and come in and give our 2 cents on how to have a better noise management plan. But we saw that it kind of stopped there and there was this other need. And also it's at times, I wouldn't say it's self-serving, but it really became a part of like, we can't not do this. Everybody's asking for it. Right. So let's just fill in the gap where people feel like it's sort of missing. And I'm pretty sure we're sharing our first official story in the coming weeks of someone that we're celebrating in the vacation rental industry. And we want to keep doing that. And right now people can go and take a pledge about how they're renting responsibly, because we believe that if we all do the right thing, if we're all good actors, if we all run a professional company, that the community and short-term rentals can coexist and then also flourish. But if we don't do that, then we're sort of shooting ourselves in the foot, and these entrepreneurs won't be entrepreneurs much longer. So
Rent Responsibly is growing, going great. Noiseaware is growing, going great. And you also told me about this pretty incredible little promotion that you're signing up with my buddies at Booking.
Yes.
Can we share that on the airwaves?
Definitely. Yeah.
Tell the people.
So Booking.com has really wanted to invest in sustainable tourism. They believe in the same kind of belief that we have with Rent Responsibly, but also they really want to invest in making sure that people are able to protect their home and their biggest asset. So in the US, and this is for, US or North American folks only, if you are not listing your property today on Booking.com and you go list on Booking.com, you will receive, we'll give you the link, I guess. You'll receive Noiseaware for free.
A device.
Free device, indoor sensor, and 6 months free, which is probably
of Noiseaware? So
a
there's
huge
the cost
promotion.
of the device. What's the normal device cost?
$199.
And $199.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know why I thought maybe it was $1.99. And then the ongoing monthly is what, per
$10.
device? Per device.
Yeah, so it's like a $260 savings.
That's pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing.
Okay, so we'll include that in the link.
Definitely.
And
thanks to Booking.com.
Thanks to Booking.com.
Yeah.
Booking's also the sponsor of the Vacation Rental Show.
Yes.
And have been wonderful allies in standing up for independent vacation rental.
Definitely.
stores.
And they have an amazing brand. I mean, just an awesome company.
They do.
Yeah.
Booking.yeah. Oh, no, they're not using that one anymore.
Yeah, no.
Be a booker.
Be a booker, and also, are you serious about bookings? Because if you're serious about bookings, you should be serious about peace of mind. That's what we've been saying to kind of form the two.
Great minds think alike.
I know.
What is like one of the biggest underlying challenges that you're noticing right now in the industry that needs to be solved very immediately, or we will all suffer?
I would say the biggest thing is probably the perception of our industry.
Friends, before Christine elaborates on this perception theme, I wanted to take a brief moment to mention Point Central, which is a great example of a company in our industry working to improve this perception, both inside and out. We call Point Central the home automation experts because their products like smart locks and smart thermostats and HVAC analytics, they allow managers to free up our time and to focus on the stuff that we're really good at. A happy home that's managed quickly and easily and from anywhere in the world means happy guests, happy neighbors, happy owners, everybody's happy. That's the kind of perception we like to get behind here. Now back to me and Christine.
From outsiders.
From outsiders.
Travelers, neighbors.
Yeah.
Regular politicians.
Yeah, and I think there's a number of differing perceptions. Experience is a huge thing. Keeping the experience to a high. I think there's some great companies who have entered the space that have really upped the level of service that and experience that you have when you rent one of their places. And
Like
it's
who?
Lyric, Sonder, the Guild, who's actually literally right next door to this office building.
And what are the experiences? It's just like a whole...
It's just consistent. You know that when you book one of their places, that everything will be clean, fresh, that you're going to have a great customer service experience, that you know that you're staying somewhere safe, that the pictures are as they seem. And I think we've really started to eliminate a lot of those bad experiences, but they're still out there.
Yeah. And as it grows, they're going to be...
Yeah, and there's still those unprofessional hosts and managers. And then the unprofessionalism carries into how they are perceived by neighbors and the community. So if they don't provide a great guest experience to the rest of the people around them, great guest experience meaning, are those people going to be noisy? Are you vetting them correctly? Are you making sure that you're keeping a consistent guest that serves the community right and isn't being a nuisance? And I think that will help the perception of the community. And then that trickles into the regulation and what regulatory folks see. And I think that right now we're still trying to professionalize in a way.
The advocacy.
I'm saying like the industry in general, we're still trying to not make it seem like it's the wild, wild west. And I think the more that government can kind of understand exactly what these entrepreneurs are doing, and then if there are bad actors, figure out a way to eliminate them with regulations that make permitting easy or kind of require specific things. It just goes back to like, there's great drivers and there's unsafe drivers. And Dave does the whole Ford Model T. I won't try to do it because he does it way better than I could probably even try.
Okay.
But essentially, it's that idea of you have something that's been growing up, which is short-term rentals. People are seeing that as a new way of travel. But how do you make sure that all those pieces of safety and regulation and that experience all align so that there's standards and that we're all sort of following them? And if we don't, then the perception of short-term rentals continues. If there's bad experiences, if there's bad actors, if there's all these kind of like bad things, then our perception will continue to grow into a negative space. And we don't want that.
And the worst part about that is that you can be a perfectly upstanding, overachieving manager or owner in your town.
Yeah.
And basically your work is wiped out in the perception perspective.
Yeah.
If there are these other bad actors.
Yeah.
Right?
So
That
make
can
sure
mess it up for everybody.
make sure your zest is alive.
Be zesty.
You gotta be zesty.
Be zesty.
Just bring it all back.
Stay zesty, my friends.
Yeah.
And what are the instances in which you've seen, let's just say personality traits or examples in which all of this is done really well in any given, you gave me a couple companies that are doing it well, but what about like groups, geographical groups based in a city or a town or regions that you think have done this really well?
It's hard. I think about the same people all the time, and I think you've showcased a lot of them on your show.
Like who?
I think Megan McRae's been on there, Derek Eaton. I think even I'm thinking of first names now, Paul
Becker in San Diego.
Yes. And I think it's the folks who really take the job seriously, and that sounds sort of obvious, like everyone takes something seriously, but seriously to the point that they see it as it's almost a personal reflection, right? If your company isn't run well, or if you have someone who has a bad experience, you feel like it reflects back on you because you're the owner. You are the person who runs that company.
Like they take it personally.
Yeah, and I think that they also take pride in it too. It's exactly like a startup. It's your baby, you started it. Each house you've brought on, each homeowner, you've probably in some regard met personally or someone on your team has. So it's that personal touch that really, I think, strives to make these people great. Like they take a lot of care. I think care is a huge thing and taking it seriously. Like it's not meant to just be posting listings. I think that perception of, oh, it's really easy to do is not true.
And these really are remarkable people.
Right.
If you think about it, like the ones who are doing this well.
And you have to be.
And you have to be.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they're really pushing forward this movement. You've talked about a couple of big threats to this industry that if we don't resolve them, the industry really, the movement sort of fails.
Yeah.
These are the people who are almost single-handedly, of course, with the help of their local communities, but they're rallying troops, they're unifying voices, they're getting a chance to speak with lawmakers.
Yep.
They're incredible.
Yeah, and they take that seriously. They don't sit back and say, might not affect me, I'll fly under the radar. They take it seriously, and I think that they do whatever it takes. And that's been a huge motto we have here is like, do whatever it takes. It doesn't matter if it's not the most scalable. It doesn't matter if it's going to make us stay up all night or whatever. People wouldn't believe some of the things we've done here. We got in a Winnebago for off Craigslist. So, I mean, that's doing whatever it takes. And I think that we try to mirror what people in the industry have done because we've seen people do whatever it takes to make sure that they don't lose their livelihood. And I have a lot of respect for that. And that's the people that take it seriously.
Just, is it courage too or something?
Yeah, I think courage and having some good fight. I think about it from the standpoint of like, if you had built something or started something and then it's weird. It's like you look at some of the movies and the future and how some people think that the government, there's all those books in like 1984 and stuff that you kind of think like, man, it's in a weird way. Like it's kind of crazy to think that your business could just be wiped out because some politician or somebody in government thinks, hey, we're going to make this ordinance. We're just going to decide to stop doing this. I don't think I've ever seen that happen in the industry like it is to us. And sometimes I think some people who are renting vacation rentals don't take it seriously. And you have to. Like, you could go talk to San Diego. It's a huge tourist town, and they banned vacation rentals.
One of my favorite quotes from Phil, our friend Phil at Expedia,
Phil,
was that
love him.
The best, most favorable short-term rental law today could be reversed tomorrow.
Yep.
And vice versa. The worst bill could be improved and or overturned tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So you always at least must stay pending and aware and active about these things, as opposed to the opposite would be just sitting back and assuming you're going to be fine forever.
Yep.
And is that the same with these people who are not proactively going out and courageously stepping up? Because not everybody really, let's be honest, has the energy or enthusiasm for that. Is there a place for those folks too, who just kind of want to run a vacation rental on the side?
Yeah, I think, just always having a pulse on what's happening and just being able to meet with anyone in the community, whether it's just someone who's a city council member or just making sure that it's somebody who cares for the community and kind of just at least showcasing what you're doing, but showcasing it in a way that speaks to them. So what are you giving back? Where are your folks going when they spend their time vacationing there? And how do you keep that going? I think we've kind of heard the word or the phrase from booking, and it's been sustainable tourism. And it's so simple, but it's so true. Like if you can continue to make sure that tourism, whether it's that people want to stay at a hotel and go to the restaurants in your community or stay at a vacation rental, like keeping tourism alive in those areas, I think is huge. And we all play a part in that. And you have to figure out how you share your story or share what everyone is doing. So
are your folks into vacation rentals?
My folks, yeah.
Yeah.
Should I tell that little mini story?
Which one?
Well, so I guess I always tried to convince them to share their beach house. It's like an hour outside of Houston. It's perfect for people who are like, I need to get out of the city because Houston is a pretty big metroplex. So they have this beautiful property. It's on, I think, like 1.5 acres. It's right on the beach. They have their own little path. Wow. And it's a little bit like Galveston. A lot of people know Galveston. It's just quieter. There's only 120 residents on this little island. There's only one restaurant.
So what, you tried to convince them to turn it into a vacation?
I wanted them to, but they went too often. So I was like, you guys are never going to be able to rent it because you're always there. They go every weekend with their dogs. Right. But my dad was diagnosed with cancer in February, and so they were not going to be able to enjoy it. And so they turned to me and were like, all right, we're ready. We need to figure out a way to at least just cover the mortgage. We don't know what life is going to be like. And it was kind of one of those turn of events that you're just like regulation. You're never ready for it. You're like, oh my gosh, obviously he's in remission now, but I helped.
Obviously? That was 8 months ago and now he's in remission?
Yeah, I say obviously because there's this thing, Sabas, my family, are kind of powerhouses. My grandmother's that way. And I'm that way, and my dad's that way. So we always were kind of like, oh, he's going to beat this thing. But
and 8 months later, it's in remission.
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So he's actually, no, wait, I think 6 months.
Wow.
Whatever. It's crazy. But I helped them with their listing. They knew I'd be able to do it. So.
And did they get a booking?
Yeah, I listed them on Vrbo and they got a booking within 48 hours. And also my dad would take screenshots of like every little marketing message that Vrbo would show him. Because of course he's in the hospital and he's bored. So he's like, hey, they just said that there's 59 people looking at my listing right now. Why aren't they booking? What do we need to change? I wanted to be like, calm down. I also wanted to give him the phone number of like any vacation owner that we had to just be like, can you talk to my dad and tell him how it goes so I don't have to do it?
And so he's liking the idea now. Do they get bookings?
Yeah, they got booked for the whole summer.
Oh my God.
Basically, I think they've had maybe 10 days the whole summer. It hasn't been booked. It's been insane.
That's incredible.
They've been able to cover their mortgage and more. So it's been awesome. And it's funny because I'm like, I live these stories every day through the people that purchase Noiseaware, and then to live it through my family was kind of crazy. And one of the questions they had was like, what if people, oh, well, I guess if they party, we'll just put Noiseaware in there.
So I had a very similar experience. I heard my parents talking about turning their bay home, renting it out short term. This was maybe like 3 years ago. And I think it was my mom said, we could just put it up on, VRBO and Airbnb. And my dad said, no, that's going to be way too much work. All the management. My mom said, come on, let's just try it and see what happens. My dad said, we don't even know how to do that. And I'm like, hello.
I'm right here.
I'm a vacation rental marketing guy. I'm happy to help you. And they were like, oh yeah, never really connected the two things. So sometimes we can help our parents in the most unique of ways. And it's so great to hear about your dad being back and now.
Yeah, I wrote a little bit up on our website about their journey. I think I don't know what I called it, but I wrote a few blog posts about the journey to kind of share, and I took some screenshots so people can kind of learn from it. So we'll have to keep showing those on social, but it taught me a lot too to understand how people live, on the other side. They've just living being the vacation rental owners when you're not really a manager and you have no clue what you're doing, because you post your listing so fast and you can get a booking so fast, things turn quickly. Yeah. My mom was kind of constantly freaking out. She's not super tech savvy. She had my dad run all of the communication because he was in the hospital, so he needed something to do. And then, she's had to clean it a couple times because the maid has been busy, and the maid service that she has, there's only one woman. I mean, they live on one of those islands where it's like you're calling somebody's brother to come help fix the AC. So they've definitely had things broken. So I had to walk them through that, and kind of console them. Things do get broken. People are using it more than you do. And then the AC broke on a guest, and the guest said, we don't care. It was like 85 degrees. They said, we don't care. We love this house. It's beautiful. We don't care. My mom was freaking out. And luckily, someone's brother or husband or whatever had a AC unit sitting in the backyard, because that is this location. I mean, that's the type of place it is.
So you now have two sort of market research assistants for you within your family.
I think they probably will. They haven't really decided if they're going to keep doing it. They like it, but they also want to go back to enjoying it. But that's the beauty of this. You can block off your calendar for the rest of the year, and then randomly, if they decide they want to go to Europe for 2 months, they've got a vacation rental and they've got a listing they can activate. So I think the freedom of that, it's been addicting to them, but at the same time, I think they're ready to get back there and use it themselves.
Well, that's the beauty of it all.
Yeah.
You said that when you started at Noiseaware, you had the title of community manager, and now you have some new title, something fancy. What is it?
Head of growth.
Yeah, all big and fancy now.
Yeah.
But I think I know why people continue referring to you as community manager. It's on the broader vacation rental sense. You kind of just took it upon yourself to begin meeting people and connecting people and learning from people and sharing your wonderful energy. Yeah. And I would just like to thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
On behalf of the industry and the people.
No, I love the people in this industry. I probably will never stop going to the conferences so I can keep seeing all the people and the new people. I love the newbies.
Yeah, the newbies.
I'm like, come join our clan.
Yeah, our support group.
We will show you all the friends you need to meet.
I think the newbies are probably a stand to gain the most, because they can just go cut their learning curve in half and learn from everyone else at these conferences and just implement everything and not have to go through the painful. Well, there will be some pain. Yeah. But not the worst errors.
I would actually say if you're a newbie and you're going to any of the conferences, come meet our team. We are so fun. I know that seems odd because we party crash around the world, but we are so fun. And we throw a big party at Verma every year. Or VRMA. I always say Verma.
Yeah, because now you're into the Ver.
I'm into the Verbo, the Verma, but it's VRMA.
So this is in New Orleans.
It's in New Orleans.
You're throwing a party?
Yeah, you're home now, right?
Am I invited?
Of course.
Sweet.
Yeah, we're throwing a party. We haven't released anything about it yet, but we'll be throwing a big party. We did last year at a vacation rental, which was kind of funny. This year we'll do it in downtown so we can kind of get to experience the nightlife of New Orleans.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that if you're a newbie, come meet us, because we could introduce you to so many people who we have great connections with, including you, Matt, but also just other people at the conferences that we've picked up along the way as new friends. And if you're new, we can kind of cut through some of the learning curve and introduce you to the right folks who are just always welcoming and opening and also give great advice. So
that's what it's all about. Yeah. Thank you for your industry stewardship.
Yeah.
And to close, just a quick reminder of who made this episode possible. It's Point Central, the property automation experts of our industry. Head over to pointcentral.com/VRMB to learn more. And when you use that page, you'll become eligible for free HVAC analytics, which tells managers when the HVAC starts to misbehave before our guests get upset.
This also makes property owners happy by taking care of the problem before it becomes too expensive. And if you're feeling cheerful, please also consider writing us a quick review in your podcast app. We read every single one of them, and we pass them along to our esteemed guests. This industry is growing up quickly, my friends. This industry is unlocked.